Hi, everybody. It's Mark Hanna, Hothead Thundermouth, ready to present to you the upcoming 1942 season from March through summer of 42. And this is a brief video I wanted to put together regarding the strategic considerations we have to look at before getting to total war. Especially the Germans need to look at when do they launch this assault? Do they try it in March and try to get a foothold? Or they're on the verge of taking three possible objectives: Lisbon, Athens, and Baghdad. They're right next to each one of them. If they can get two of them before the end of March, then they'll have a +2, well, not a +2, a -2 to their delay rolls. And with the subs that would be coming in, they'll get some pluses perhaps on the Allies and try to wear them down before the US brings its might, try to take London before that happens. And then at that point in time, having 8 objectives, try to capture one of the Soviet ones. So that's what we're going to talk about. What are the tactics? We have to talk about air units, how they're displayed. Actually, let's say deployed on the map. Of course, when you see them on the map, they're displayed there. But where do we put the air units? How many do we put? Because I need air really to get the odds up to avoid those exchanges. We don't want a debacle where we keep trying to take strategic hexes and keep rolling sixes. I've seen it happen. So all of this is going to be discussed in this video. It's a preliminary short video before I get into the meat and bones of these seasonal turns. So enjoy this. Thanks for watching. Again, remember, this is unscripted, unapologetic, uncensored, and psychologically immune to social media scoring. I'm Mark Hanna. Thanks for watching. Okay, so let's start here in Spain. I want to show you the situation from a tactical standpoint, or how do we conduct these battles. Now, I want to point out here that the Germans have three crucial areas that they need to address, and all three of them involve objective hexes currently controlled by the Western Allies, and they're on the threshold of capturing three of them right now. The first one is here, over in Lisbon. And this is an interesting situation because we have to understand that there's no retreat path here for these guys. There really never is. Lisbon is one of those cities where you got to take it out by force. You can't use a open city marker, a blitz marker on top of it because there's nowhere to retreat. So they'll always be able to use conversion losses anyway. So this one takes a little more effort to take out in one turn. You have to use that a precious blitz marker on the city just to get two attacks to wear it down. When they have 6 factors, as you can see that they have right here, and one British factor, you can see also there's some air in there. The British have committed one of their fine air forces there. We have to address how we want to take this. So whenever, and I'm starting to learn here that we've got a balance of power. Remember that if you place down an air unit, you have to use at least one asset to place it in on the map. Okay, you have to populate it with LBA. So if they want to intercept it, they have to have an air unit to intercept it with plus an LBA in return. So the British here have a better LBA, but they only have one of them. So unless you lose the first one outright as the Germans, you should be able to place your second air unit there. And that's the whole point. So the Germans they're going to probably need to place 2. In the old game, they would need to place 2 if the British contest it. In this game, it's not so certain, but I think what I need to do is bring one of these 2 5s, put it in Madrid. So I have 3 air units here. Okay, and now remember, this is for the March 1942 clear turn that's coming up, and I do have a blitz marker. So we're going to talk about why I probably will not use that blitz marker to preliminarily invade England here in a minute. So that discusses some of the issues that are at stake here. You need to get ideally 9 to 1s on these stacks, but it's really hard with 6 factors to do that. Uh, I've played games where, it's 6 to 1 or 4 to 1, you're just looking for that retreat result to get an extra step loss. And I've seen Sevastopol and Athens hold out for turn after turn, 2 or 3 seasons, because the attacking Germans keep rolling sixes and they keep getting exchanges. So you have to keep this in mind. You sometimes can't count on these attacks working out. Okay, but let's continue moving on here. We'll look at the situation near England right now. And here's the defenses. You can see the British have some pretty good defenses here, and you have to watch out because they've got this. Oh, sorry, I was meant to use the circle. Okay, they've got, well, you can see they've got an HQ. They've got a port-a-fort in London. And here in Southampton, they have a full corps, a full army, really. And they've even garrisoned Bristol over in Wales here. You've also cited these two very strong defensive units. I think there's even another one up here. I don't have, oops, up that way, that I didn't put here in the picture. But so the Germans might need to put as many as 4 air units here, and the Germans have 1, 2, 3, 4 air units that they can place with. Now, this isn't going to be enough because probably if you look at this, one of these 447s might defeat a 2-5 very easily, in which case they get to keep using it and keep using the interceptor that stopped them. So in some ways, the Germans need to make sure that when they're fighting these air battles, they've got at least parity or maybe a couple of units. So I wouldn't send in anything with less than 4 factors as the Germans. So they're going to need some more air power here. But the Germans need some air power in a lot of other different places too. They're going to need it down in Athens, and they're going to need it over in Baghdad, because the Germans really want to try to take out all 3 of those, at least 2 of them, in order to get the Axis tide score up to +2, so they have a -2 on the delay rolls, so they can get air units churning back in. So the decision's being made here in March to go for it, to try to get 2 of them this turn. Now, that can be tough because they're going to have to try to push them out and get enough step losses. They may not be able to pull it off. So we're going to see if it's possible. They're going to have a blitz marker that they can use in Athens here. And what I need to check on is what the weather's going to be in April in the desert. So it's going to be storms in the desert, which they can still use the air power, but there's going to be a combat shift to make it harder to get a DR result to push them out of Baghdad. So, and I don't know if they're going to have enough force to take out Lisbon. So they're going to try, though. They're going to give it a try. At least take a look at it. Let's take a look at some more of these factors here. Excuse me. So here's the Greece situation. Now, I want you to take a look. Here in Greece, as long as you let them have a path, which is easy to do, there is a retreat hex here. So you can take Athens by forcing a retreat here, just like we forced this retreat over there because we didn't have it encircled. We couldn't encircle it. Ideally, you actually don't want that unit around, but it doesn't matter. Also, take a look at this. I Probably should have tried to sync that with an air raid, but I forgot. Anyway, uh, so we just need a DR here. If we get a 6-1, believe it's a guaranteed thing, but we're going to need a 9-1 to be able to do that. So at 6-1, no, there is no exchange result on a 6. So, but in the desert, though, in the next turn with the storms, they need to get at least a DR2 to force them to retreat from Baghdad. So it's a little dicier down there, but they're going to try to get to 6 before the end of the turn. So we'll see if they can do that, and I mean the end of the season, not the end of the turn. Let's take a look at the situation down there. Okay, actually, this is the Russian front. We also have to keep in mind what's going on over here. Eventually, we're going to need to get some Germans from Greece up here, and they're going to need to also watch out in this area here. Okay, because they've got to watch out for the Russians coming in, and they'll probably keep Poland as a buffer zone and not attack Poland with Barbarossa or Sea Lion. We're going to look at those cards here in a minute. All right, sorry, another interruption here. We have some water problems around here in other flats, not ours. Okay, so as I said, yeah, Poland we will probably not attack. Also, I should make note here, you can see the Finns with the influence from the Germans. They will be coming in on our side. The question is going to be how much can I help them out? The Russians, they don't have a lot of air yet. They aren't that much of a threat yet. Um, it should be interesting to see what happens with the Polish situation. Once total war occurs, I think if he tries to claim eastern Poland, he can do that, but I think then Poland comes in on the war on my side, which would be useful for me. As the German player, of course. I'm playing all sides in this game. All right, so that's the Russian front. Let's move on now to take a look at, yeah, this is the situation in Italy. Why is this here? Well, as I mentioned to you before, the East Africa box is now effectively owned by the British, the Western Allies. They can come in with troops and march on Cairo right up the Nile. This is actually not an ideal setup for the Italians. They really should probably go here and here, but I just really don't have enough troops for this defense, actually. I need to get a German unit down here so I can counter any air power from this. As you can see, it's going to be hard for me to hold on to the Middle East. I don't have access through Turkey, which means everything has to be transported across the Med. And so the sooner I take Baghdad, the better. That way I can bring those units that are in Baghdad back down to defend this before hopefully the British and the Americans can come in. I probably have a year here before the British can really muster up the forces to do anything here. Knock on wood on that one. Okay. Finally, then we move over to this last card. Well, we have two more actually. Clear this off. All right, more excitement. Apparently, the poor neighbors' water's been turned off while they work on the other neighbors' plumbing supplies. Got an old building here. Everything's interconnected somehow. Anyway, looking at this, you can see the Baghdad situation. And this is what I was saying to you. We've got desert here. They've got 5 factors here, and they got 2 air units here. I've got 2 air units here. That's not going to be enough to place an air unit to guarantee an air unit on top of Baghdad. So I'm going to have to send more air down here to fight these Brits. So now remember, these air battles can go either way. Sometimes the attacker can wipe out the defender. I've shown you in previous videos that this can then give the Germans an extra boost if they're the attacker by not having to put a unit in the delay box. On the other hand, they can lose it all, and then they don't get to place an air unit. So the game is not as certain as it used to be, and that's what's quite interesting here. So let's take one last look at this next card draw that we need to do for summer. We've already decided on the draw for this coming turn. It's Operation Felix or something like that, which is a last ditch limited war blitz card. There is a chance that you can get a bad result where some kind of attack won't work out. So, because I think you have to roll in the political events table for that. Anyway, let's compare Operation Sea Lion here to Operation Barbarossa. And the main difference to keep in mind is this force pull versus delay box difference. In Operation Barbarossa, Germany gets these land components. Okay, what is it? HQ, 443s, 254s. These come in the force pool. Okay, all right. And I guess there's some other stuff here. Oh, sorry, I forgot that they get the. Let's use the box. This is the. That wasn't a very good box draw. Let's try it again. These two are the Africa Corps armor and the headquarters for Rommel in the desert. You can normally use them with Italians. You can use them with any minor ally, though. Might be a good place to use them in Romania, in fact, but or to try to hold them off in Cairo uh, or take Baghdad. They come in the force pool, but uh, and you still get them with Operation Sea Lion too in the force pool, so that's really handy. Okay, we need to prepare for that. Okay, but the main difference is here you're going after the UK, so you get an air force here and a U-boat right away. That'll give us two U-boats eventually to cause delays. So what you're going to need to do is you're not going to be able to get the results you want probably right away against the British. They have a lot of stuff, but you put a sub in the strategic warfare box, make them deal with that. If they don't deal with that, then it's a +1 for them on the delay roll, and that could be huge. So they're going to have to deal with these subs. We also get an extra air unit immediately for 5 air units, whereas if I go with Operation Barbarossa, I get it later. Okay, so that's why, since all of our operations are geared towards taking out the British, we're going for Operation Sea Lion. But that's the basic difference between the two cards: is these delay box versus force pool editions. Okay. Uh, Here's the conditional segment where we can go ahead no matter what and get Finland in the war to apply influence to it as a minor country. We could also pick another country if we want to do that. That's actually an interesting idea. We have to look at that. Also, um, we can declare war on a neutral minor country if we want to. That's another thing. If I was going for Operation Barbarossa, we'd probably use that to declare war on Poland. Um, anyway, that's the situation here. That pretty much covers all of the things that I wanted to cover here for strategic tactics, if you want to call it that. Uh, the odds that you need to get on the chart to avoid those exchanges, the odds you need to get a DR1 to force them out of either Baghdad or Athens, but not possible in Lisbon. And the new tactic, strategic tactic of where you deploy the LBAs and how many. It's a very critical decision that we're not used to here, and we haven't even talked about the fleet actions that are going to happen when we try to invade England. So it's going to be pretty interesting. That's the background of the upcoming turns. So I'm going to go to gameplay here after I load this up. Thanks for listening. Enjoy. Remember to like and subscribe. And if you don't like any of this, and I know there's a couple people who don't like anything I do, make sure you hit your dislike button like you always do. And I know you've subscribed as well, so I've already asked you to do what you're already doing. All right. Bye bye, everybody.